Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups, situationships, and limited beliefs. Today, we're going to get into what's the best way to get over an ex. Talked about this before, but we'll talk about it again. Why not? It's a fresh live stream, a fresh day, a new day, and the first day of the rest of your life. So, what is the best way to get over an ex? Change your routines. Okay. So now when I'm telling you things to do, actually do these things, not just one of these things. Okay. So you have a routine you don't even know you're in. Even if you don't have a job, even if you're one of those people that doesn't make a lot of plans, you're not organized, you're like each day is a little bit different, you still have some routines. You probably take a shower in the morning, you probably take a whiz, you probably brush your teeth. Right? Those are routine things. So changing your routine helps because a part of your routine is calling your ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, ex-husband, or spending time with them at a certain time. So rearranging time in those routines will mix you up a little bit and not make you put you in that situation where at 8 o'clock at night, you're checking the clock, you're ruminating, you're upset, you're angry. You're like, why did it flood on me this time? Because in your routine, this is when you usually talk to them. Okay. So change your routine. If you go to the gym after work, go to the gym in the morning. If you go to, if you're able to have a flexible schedule at work, change your schedule. Okay. So look at changing your routine. Now, when I do a live coaching session, this is something that some people can do quite easily and they're willing to do, and some aren't. So if there's something that you're like, oh, I can't change this or that, why would be my question. Number 2, change jobs, especially if you work together. Okay. If you can't do that, there's special circumstances, fine. If you like your job, fine. But if you work together, it's not a bad move to look for another job. Okay. Because if you do that for 2 or 3 years, it's just going to make things worse and worse and worse. Again, this isn't for everyone, but these are things to consider. There are multiple things that will help you get over your ex. Number 3, move somewhere you're excited about. Okay. Not just some random place, not a place that's close to work, a place that you've always wanted to live. Okay. Now that you can choose to go wherever you want, if you can't do it today, you can't do it tomorrow, you can't do it in a week, make a plan in a month, 2 months. I'm going to move to this area or this place that excites me. This is a big one. Moving to a new environment or a new place, I would say, is one of the most underrated things to get over an ex. It really sparks a lot because it gets you out of your routine. You meet new people. Hopefully, wherever you're moving, you're excited about it. That's why I said excited, not just move anywhere. And also you have your place, your furniture, the door knock on your door. It reminds you of them. Okay. Number 4, sign up for personal training. Notice I didn't say the gym. Notice I didn't say exercise. I was specific. Personal training is different. Okay. Probably more expensive. Not everyone can do it, but you could also ask a friend to do it with you that's really into the gym. The reason for that, you got a buddy or a coach that's going to tell you exactly what to do. You're going to have a time to be there. You're going to be invested in doing it. You're going to be more committed, hopefully, and you'll get better results. So post breakup, a lot of times you're having trouble with committing to things because there's a lot of uncertainty. You're a little bit spun. If you have a personal trainer, they're going to make the workout for you. You're going to have someone supporting you there during the workout, telling you you're doing things wrong or right. And then also your results will just be that much better probably. Okay. In most cases. So number 5, social media fast. If there's one important thing that I had to earmark on here or bold type, it would be that. Social media fast. Do not be on social media unless you have to for work. Okay. This one's non-negotiable. This one's the best way to get over an ex. This is number 1. Okay. Number 2, stay off drugs and alcohol for a month. The reason I'm telling you that is not just assuming everyone has a drug or alcohol problem. The problem is when you drink a lot, you tend to forget about your problems or they get worse. But then when you come back to baseline, when you wake up, you got a little bit of a hangover, your breakup's worse. So then you want to drink more again. If you're doing drugs, it's the same thing. You're evading the problem, you're running away from it. And when you get back to normal, it feels worse. So you're going to have that higher high or that higher buzz, but it's going to be a farther low when you wake up in the morning and realize I'm still broken up, back to reality, right? Number 7, no contact. You've read about this. You've seen it. No contacts for you, first and foremost, to accept the breakup. Negotiations are off, and if they come back, it's a bonus. It's the best way to get over your ex because you have no contact. It's really difficult to do, but we're talking about getting over an ex. Okay, we're talking about moving forward and moving on. By the way, this also helps if they wanted to come back. That's for another show. 8, date when you're ready and know what you're looking for. This is big because a lot of times you're getting a lot of advice. Oh, I have a friend to hook you up with. Would you be interested in my friend? Oh, just get back on the dating apps. Just get back out there. If you're not ready, don't go back out there. Okay? If you're not ready, you need to lick your wounds. You need to heal a little bit. You need to talk to a coach or a therapist. Don't do it yet. That's fine. But in the process, get really clear on what you want next. Do you want another long monogamous relationship? Do you want to just hook up and sow some oats and be single for a year or 2 years? Do you want to date someone that is into fitness? Do you want to date someone that has a higher aspiration to make a lot of money? Getting clear on that will help you when you re-enter the dating game. Filter for what you want. This is probably one of the most important parts when you're single or when you're broken up, is you don't have to date right away. You don't have to entertain the fact that you got to meet someone new, but you should start thinking of what you want. And the cool thing is, when you start to get deeper and deeper into the breakup, you realize your partner wasn't perfect. There were some things you really didn't like. And now that you're broken up, you're like, oh, if I date someone else or I start seeing someone else, I'd really want them to have a car this time because my ex never had a car. Or I would really like them to like to eat healthy food. I'm a vegetarian. I'm not, but I'm just telling you. So get specific in that time, and then you can filter for the people that would be better partners. Number 9, be patient with dating. Okay, this isn't the movies or Hollywood. You're not going to meet someone next door that's single and ready to mingle and everything's going to go great. You're probably going to have to go on some bad dates. There's probably going to be some uncomfortable or awkward moments. You're going to miss your ex even more on some of these dates. That's part of the process. And it's okay. It's okay. It's part of the process. You getting out there is progress. You having a bad date is progress. Because you just eliminate who you wouldn't want to go out with. And the thing about bad dates too, it's like, think about it like this. You're getting better at eliminating or identifying people that you don't want to pursue again. So it's just like, all right, just like eating at a restaurant, you go, I wouldn't eat here again. You're not going to go, oh, these restaurants, all these restaurants, is that? It's just one date, one time, and you go out on one date, and then you ask yourself, do I want to go out on another date? What happens is a lot of people, is this the person of my dreams? Could I marry this person? If you like them, you have good interest, you're attracted to them, go out on another date. If they say no, okay. Be patient with the dating. There's no timetable to this. And you're new to it again. You've been in a 2, 3, 4, 5 year relationship. Give yourself some time. It's okay. Give yourself a break. Then when you have those bad dates, tell your friends the stories. It's funny. Be patient with the dating. Number 10, get a good coach or therapist. Stick with them for multiple sessions. So I've been doing this a while. A lot of times people will, especially now, they will go on YouTube or they'll go on different sites and they'll get all this information, and all this information is in 15 different directions, but they've never really asked anyone what to do with their exact situation. The therapist or coach, myself at writemac.com, you write your story and we go through your whole story, hour and a half, 2 hours. That alone is a game changer, because if you've been just telling friends little snippets, or you've been trying to self-fix the situation with general advice that's not pertaining to your exact breakup, good luck. A lot of things that you're hung up on. I've talked to people that have been in the breakup blues for 2 months, for 6 months. And after we talked, they're like, oh no, this was good. This was good. Thank you. And this is why I always tell people, if you book a session with me, I'll give you your money back if you don't find it useful or helpful moving forward. Never had to do that. I stand on it. Go to someone like that. And if you don't like the person, or you don't have a good rapport, or they don't vibe with you, go to a different coach or therapist. And then if you can afford it, ride with him for the next month or 2 months. See him once a week, once every 2 weeks, him or her. Make sure you got a good connection. It doesn't mean you have to like them, but you have to respect them. And they're not just giving you advice, it's the way they're listening. And you need to get everything out about your relationship because you have a unique perspective. You're not getting that when you're consuming information. The information online is generalized. Do this in a breakup. It's not do this in your breakup. Think about that for a minute. If you've been around long enough and you've had friends, family, or colleagues come to you with their breakup, you always think, well, I would do that differently. So would they. Go to someone, commit to them, just like personal training. It's a whole different level than just going to the gym and trying to figure it out or follow a plan, right? Now, some people might be, the pushback on that might be like, oh, I don't have the extra money. Okay, save up for it. Contact someone that could be your coach or something like that and say, can I do a payment plan? I've done this for people before. Or, the personal training. I have a client right now. His personal trainer is a friend of a friend that actually is retired, made a ton of money, and just likes to do just as really a gym rat. And he's like, hey, man, I'll take you on for free because he just put it out there. If you can't get a personal trainer, then get a gym buddy, someone that goes to the gym regularly. It's much better than I signed up for the gym. I saw this workout online. Get someone that holds you accountable. It's the same thing for coaching and therapy. It's like whatever your deal is or your issues are, they're unique to you. If you're going to get help, one of the hardest things right now on the internet, people diagnosing themselves with generalized information. Well, that's kind of what it is with me. And then when I talk to people about their stories and their problems, they're generally unique. The umbrellas are similar, but to them, the stories, the itty bitty details, it counts. And if you talk to someone and they can figure out things and they've been doing this a while, the amount of times I've had clients go, exactly. Right? If you ask your buddy that, is a longshore fisherman or, is a bartender, all these things, right? That doesn't transfer over to relationship information. Now we have ChatGPT. You're going to get a lot of information that's just recycled generalizations, one size fits all with really catchy titles, like what's the best way to get over your ex, right? And it's going to be artificial and to the masses. So you can kind of like fit yourself in there. Make sure you're getting tailored advice. That's rule number one. Jen, it's been a while. I hope you're doing well, hun. Sam Lujan, how you doing? May, good to see you. We got nothing but females in the building right now. I like it. All right. So did have a story that came in pertaining to this topic. If you guys want to chime in with anything you think that would be what's the best way to get over an ex, something that I might not have mentioned, go ahead and throw it in there. And by the way, it's a process. It's a culmination of things, and it's still going to take time because you're a human being with feelings, right? But I would say the most important thing, hands down, social media fast. Number one. If you really, in this day and age, unless they're just not on, if they're not on social media or not highly active, then fine. But that's number one. That's number one, most important. I would say if you work together, number two, if you work together, find another job, find new hours, see if you can work, but you can't see each other every day in that space and get over them quickly. It's just highly difficult. When someone says, I can't, start writing out how you could. And sometimes you'll surprise yourself. Sometimes people say, I can't do that. All right, write 10 ideas that are alternatives to that. What's an alternative to staying at your job? Well, I've always wanted to work at this company. Well, I've always wanted to do that job. Just start writing them out. Maybe you're like, I can't do that because it would be this. I can't do that. And then you might go, oh, actually, this is a reason that I could leave and I would be excited about it. One that's not on here is definitely, and someone just came on a live call yesterday on the live stream. He's living with they've been broken up, I think, a month and a half, and they still live together and have kids. Extremely tough. And she's dating someone else and telling him about it. That's a tough situation. Now, from the outside, everyone's going to go, oh, get out of there, have some self-respect. They have 5 kids together. That's a unique situation. It's not just cut and dry and be like, hey, man, get out of there. He's got to weigh what's more important, being there for the kids and whatnot. But he also has to ask himself, how am I going to entertain the fact that I might have to get out of this relationship? We've got 5 kids. She's seeing someone else, and she's coming home and living with me. This is a real story. It was on yesterday. The guy came on. Now, well, there's nothing. What happens to a lot of people in situations like, there's nothing I can do. All right, write out some alternatives. Go see a lawyer and know your rights about the kids. Start entertaining some alternative moves that you don't want to explore because you're scared. Just to make yourself aware of what's options out there, because otherwise you get this idea, I'm just stuck. There's nothing I can do. So you start to just kiss the person's ass. You accept they're seeing someone else. You build resentment. And now you're saving a relationship that you're not happy in that's going to get worse. Right? Thank you for saying it takes time. You're human. Grieving a breakup is the same as grieving a death. It's tough. It absolutely is. These things that I'm telling you, I'm not telling you them, just do this and that and it'll happen. No. But what I would like you to do is, if you're going through one or you went in the past and you look at these 10 things, you're like, oh, I didn't think of that one. Or, oh, that might be one that will really help me over time. Right? Because all of them might not be for you. But I guarantee people that are stuck or really having trouble are probably not doing any of these. And they're just sitting there going, I'm trapped, I'm stuck, I'm trapped, I'm stuck. Right? Also, the severity of the breakup, such as getting cheated on or someone stealing from you. Emotional cheating is huge right now with texting. Those kinds of things. Those are going to take longer, right? It's just going to take longer. But give yourself that time. And if you're going to be patient when in the process, right? It takes time. You're human. I would definitely say, if you can't get a coach or a therapist, get a really good friend or family member that's good at listening. That's really good at that. And just go to that one person. And I've said this before. Not everyone has it in their sphere of influence. Give people the opportunity to help you. It's a privilege to help people. Sometimes people are scared or, sad, or I didn't want to share this with you. Right? But you give a friend or a family member, give them the opportunity to help you. And if it doesn't work out, you don't have to talk to them about it again. If you get a bad feeling or they were short with you, fine. All right. So first story. Hey, Coach Mac, I just want to know the number one way to get over my ex completely. This is why I did this title for the show. I've been thinking about my ex day and night for about 2 years. It's not going away. So 2 years, I guarantee that you're probably not doing the things I just mentioned on this. There's something here that you're not doing. We still work together. There you go. But we work different departments, but I see her daily from afar and it still sings. So right there, that's one of the major reasons you're not getting over her. Okay. So you might say, I can't leave my job. So my next question, could you transfer to another department or another location through your company. So that's an alternative. If you were, maybe this would be something you don't want to entertain. If you were laid off, or if you were to look for another job, what would it be? Just journal that out, write it out, play with it for a minute. Write out 10 other things that you would do if you weren't doing this. Then check mark 1 or 2 that you really love that idea, and then explore it. I'm not saying you have to do it, but like, what would the training be? What would you have to go through? And see, wait a minute, because you can move jobs. And the reason that you've just said it, and this is why it's good to write out your story. You've said you've answered your question. I've been thinking about my ex now for 2 years. It's not going away. How do I get over them completely? We still work together, but we work in different departments, but I see her daily from afar and it still sings. Okay. The other thing I would say is there a way for you to keep her out of your vision? Can you move offices? I've dated, I've went on trips, I've gone to church, I've attempted different exercise routines. And yes, I've talked to a therapist or 2, and they just seem to want to talk about my childhood, which in all honesty was good. Don't hear that often, do you? I had a great family life growing up, and I still have a great relationship with all of my family, no major traumas in my history. Now, here's what's interesting. I've had clients like this that have big trouble, big problems getting over bad breakups because they're used to functional, healthy relationships. So when they're in a relationship and things go wrong, it's kind of foreign to them, right? They're kind of thrown off, like, why would we break up over this? Or why would you be upset over this? So someone that has no traumas or had a really good family life is still susceptible to being in a bad relationship or a bad breakup. That being said, that's when you would go to a breakup coach like myself and go to someone that specializes in breakups. There's a lot of good therapists out there, but there's a lot of good therapists that work in a wide range of things, and they might not be good at what you're looking for. And so get someone that specializes in what you're dealing with. So you're like, I don't have childhood issues really. All right, well then go to someone else. I had a great family life. I just see her at work and it crushes all my confidence. Again, you've just mentioned your problem. So what is the way that you could stop seeing her at work or find a new job, new department, or a new place to work from, possibly from home? That's your problem. Plus, I'd add she's also seeing a guy that works across our building, and I run into him all the time and we don't talk, but he makes eye contact and sometimes flashes a sarcastic smile. All right. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to make friends with him or forgive that guy, but this is why I would definitely do some inventory of working at another place or another department. Okay. So that doubles that down. I just want to scream sometimes or say something. I'm wondering, you got any suggestions after 2 years? So don't get down on the fact that it's been 2 years. Okay. Because if we did a live coaching session, we went over the breakup and everything like that, there probably would be other things that came up that aren't just about work. I would guess that you're probably still following her on social media or covert following. I don't know how many times I can tell you guys that people have access to your social media without following you through friends or family or a burner account. If you're doing that, good way to not ever get over your ex, because you're just getting these snippets, you're just feeling more and more worse, and you got to take some inventory on that. Now, the other things that happens are friends or family at work tell you stuff. Tell them you don't want them to tell you. You don't want to know anything about them. You got to turn that spigot off. But yeah, that's what we would talk about in a session. Why are you not entertaining working somewhere else? Now, if your answer was something like, I make really good money, great benefits, I got 2 kids that I raise on my own and need those benefits, could you go to your boss and say, is it possible for me to work from home or a different location, different building? No, that's not possible. Is there another one? You got to look. So there's something, I would call it alternative thinking. You get really rigid. Rigid means there's no other answer. When there's 1,000 possibilities and answers, you're just not looking at the alternatives, right? Having a fixed mindset a negative mindset versus solution mindset is like, all right, well, what else can I do here if I don't have that job? Right? Because obviously her and your presence, it's just not working. And really, most people, so you don't feel bad about this, if someone worked with someone that they broke up with, and I don't know what happened in your relationship, and they had to see them every day, quite painful and more difficult to get over, especially if they're seeing someone else and you're not in a good place. I would add, most likely, if this is bothering you 2 years later, there's something else affecting you. So book a session. Smokey the cat, cat, how you doing? Next one, quick question. Coach, I got a quick question. Do you believe that it's okay to still stay in contact with your ex-boyfriend when you start dating a new guy you like and things are going well, but you're taking things slow? My ex and I are on good terms and we talk once a week or less, but it's nothing romantic. I'm no longer attracted to him and he knows that. Okay. So that's your opinion. The new guy I'm dating wants to know when I'll stop this, as he said if we go deeper in this relationship that he won't accept our weekly chats. All right, so he's setting up a really nice boundary. He's letting you know up front, hey, this isn't going to go. He's not demanding it. He's not telling you have no choice. He's just saying like, what's the time frame on this? He said I'm leading the guy on and that it's not okay with him. I'm not sure if this is a red flag for his deep insecurities. No. Actually, I think he's being quite secure by not being passive aggressive and saying it's okay. So the idea that I'm no longer attracted to him and he knows it. Is he still attracted to you? You didn't say that. Why is he spending time talking to you? Who broke up with who? What's your intention in talking to him every week? Just to catch up? Now, even if, and I'll believe you on this one, I'm no longer attracted to him. Even if you're no longer attracted to him, having someone like that on once a week that you used to be intimate with, let's say you have a few drinks on a Friday night, you're feeling lonely, the volcano's a little dormant, and you go, you know what? The guy I'm talking to is not available, but the ex is. Maybe you call him up. You're just leaving the door open for someone that you were intimate in the past with. And for him to question that, I think is fair. For him to say it's not okay with him, I believe he's putting his cards on the table and going, hey, when we move forward, I'm not okay. It's not insecure. It's not insecure at all. It's actually quite secure. Instead of him being like, oh, I don't care. You can talk to whoever you want. It's fun. It's like, you can do it. Yeah, it's like you guys are just friends. That's passive. Deep down inside, is it good? No, not really. Now, if you're talking to that person because you guys have reasons such as financial things, such as kids, you need to state that. But you're just saying, oh, we just talk once a week. Nothing romantic. I'm no longer attracted to him. My question is, why is he talking to you? You've stated why you talk to him. Because I have a sneaking suspicion he's still attracted to you. And if that's the case, you are leading him on. Right? People do it. All right, folks, we got 10 on deck. Anyone that has a question, we could probably take a live call today if you wanted to call in with a question, situationship, or breakup situationship. I'll put the invite here. Anyone that wants to come on, it'll be audio only. So if you can certainly put your camera on if you want, but the way StreamYard works is you'll be in a waiting room. So you won't come, because sometimes people click that link and they're like, oh, am I on right now? No, you won't be on right away. I'll have to let you in. It's like a green room, virtual green room. And then you can be audio only, or you can have a camera on. The only reason I mention that is I've had people on many times, and then the next day they're like, take me down. I don't want to see my face out there. My ex might see me. So if there's anyone bold enough, Isn't it amazing though? Someone says, I'm talking to my ex. I'm not attracted to them anymore. Are they attracted to you still? What are their intentions of talking to you? Oh, they don't mean anything to me anymore. It's just, they're just a friend. That's the hard part of being about staying in that gray area. Who wants the other person more? Who's more into, like, we can just be friends. We can just talk. Like, maybe it'll work out. That little in between. And then someone meets someone else, or someone falls off a cliff and stops contacting. You're like, wait, did I miss? Because those are the situations. If someone stops talking to them, that's when that breakup actually becomes real. So people stay in a gray area out of pity or out of safety. They're like, yeah, we broke up, but we still talk. We're friends. That's cool. I've done it. But deep down, as long as you stay in that gray area, you talk, you kind of feel like, oh, we got a chance. Maybe something will come up in the future. We're still holding on to a little string. But then when someone goes, hey, I'm getting married in 2 weeks. This is probably the last time we'll talk. The other person's like, wait a minute. You didn't tell me this. It's like, well, we were broken up. You're just my friend. Interesting to notice also that probably the most common thing you hear from people that's so cliche to get over an ex is to hook up with someone else. Now, if someone's wired that way, they're in a really secure place, they feel great about how they look and they feel, maybe that helps them. In most cases, even it'll just be a moment that makes them feel better, but the next day they'll get back to reality and missing someone. And I've heard people date people they're highly attracted to and they miss their ex because it's routine, it's habitual, it's different, it's certain, it's safety. I'd add, I think one of the most difficult things these days is to be patient with dating, because there's more opportunities to date multiple people with the dating app thing. So there's more opportunities to feel rejected or led on, or I almost want to say misinformed, but there's the amount of people that get left on red, or they go on a date that they thought was good and then the person doesn't contact them again. It leads them really hurt. And when they're hurt by that, they're like, I'm not going to do this dating thing anymore online. I was just asked by a client this week if I would consider doing matchmaking because they're so sick of doing this. I think that finding someone new is the worst advice anyone can give. It isn't healthy to use another person to get over someone. Sure. You got to be ready and you got to know what you want. I think that that's, especially people that are in a situation where they're, and this isn't everyone, but there are some people like this that when they hit the single market, they're going to get approached and they're going to have opportunities right away, whether they're good looking, rich, or just in a job that gets approached a lot. So it's not just people that are rich and good looking. Sometimes people have certain jobs, like bartenders, where they're just going to meet a lot of people, a lot of singles, influencers, things like that. They're going to have those opportunities. And so what they need to do better is just filter for what they're looking for. If they don't take that time to do so, they'll just take the first opportunity that comes their way. And if it's bad, it'll make it worse. That's when it'll make it worse. But, your long breakups, you need some time. For sure. What are the best ways to get over an ex is what we were originally talking about today, Petty Betty. One thing I'd add too is when you're going through it, you don't think that anyone else has gone through bad breakups before, especially when you're young. And you kind of think, what's wrong with me? Like, what's wrong with me? It's like, no, this is a human thing. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, this has happened to a lot of other people on different levels, but people that have been hit by a breakup truck and don't think that you're unnormal or you're crazy or you can't get over it or it's on your mind. This is why, I don't know, 30-40% of all songs ever made are about breakups or relationships going wrong. When you think about it, movies, it's probably 20-30% of all movies involve a relationship issue or problem because it's so relevant. But when you get into it for the first time, and like I've said many times, sometimes the first time isn't necessarily your first relationship, but your first bad ending or situationship. It could feel like something's wrong with me. I shouldn't be reacting this way. I can't get back to regular. No, this is what happens when you get your heart broke. This is what happens when someone leaves you and you don't understand why, and it happens to a lot of other people. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with you. You know, it's like when some kid goes through puberty and they didn't, they're like, wait, what is this? What's going on? I heard about this in some class or something like that. It's like, till they go fully through it, they're kind of like, oh, I remember that. Your first breakup, if someone's like, oh, I've never had one, well, live a little longer. I've come to realize relationships for me have a timetable. I feel as when I move on from a relationship, it's like I recharge and become a better version of myself. Might be wrong, but that's me. Now, that's probably your lifestyle right now and who you are. I would add that thanks for that comment, Smokey the Cat. Because not everyone would agree with you, right? It sounds like almost like you have a timetable of what's good for you, right? I feel as when I move on from a relationship, I recharge and become a better version of myself. So now you have a pattern. Sounds like you're not looking for marriage and kids right now. So what I believe is relationships, as they grow in tiers, right? There's no elevator. There's a tier. Right? And what happened is there was a tier system for years that was meet someone you're attracted to, date them or see them for a little while, marriage, kids, house, careers, okay? And not that order, but you're with me, right? And it's part of a dream for a lot of people. Now, what's changed is when people don't want to get married and have kids, which is more people than ever before because of finances or they're scared or they're worried, whatever. Okay. And don't be ignorant to this, folks. Sometimes people, they don't say it, but like there's women out there, someone's like, oh, why haven't you had kids yet? And she's had 3 miscarriages and you don't know. Or a guy's had a girlfriend or a wife that's had a miscarriage and you're like, oh, you just don't want to have kids? It's like, you don't know my history. Right? Or, you know what I'm saying? That being said, when you're in a long-term relationship, 3-4 years, and you get to that 4th or 5th year and you don't have the next tier, like merit. And this is why I think some people, after they have kids, they get the car, the house, it's anticlimactic. It's like, what's the next tier? Oh, a boat, a trailer, material items, a vacation home. Okay, could be, but you have these tiers. And if you're attached to those tiers, you have these finish lines, right? But if you're not happy as a couple, you're still going to have a faulty marriage, or someone can meet someone else and leave you. So it's all possible. But if you just don't even have marriage on your horizon or kids on your horizon, well, then if you're wondering, oh man, I can't be in any long-term relationship. Well, you don't even have a finish line to stay together. And that's okay. It's like Smokey the Cat's like, I don't want to get married or have kids anytime soon. All right, well, you're probably not going to have relationships longer than 4 years. 3 or 4 years, probably. Is that a guarantee? No. But does that make sense about the tier thing? Because that's what comes next. It's like, oh, and some people at a year and a half, 2 years are like, I'm going to get married. And here's the interesting thing. If you're with someone that's conservative or hasn't had a lot of partners and that's on their radar, you're kind of thrown off. You're like, wow, you're talking about marriage really fast, because that's really important to them to get to that next tier and even out. And the thing about kids and marriage, you have a reason to stay together when things go wrong or you're unhappy beyond yourself. If you've got kids, and then if it's not kids, it's a mortgage. And if you've got equity in the house, it's $100,000. Sounds shallow, but it's a reason beyond yourself or you're winning an argument or getting your way that can keep you together. Now, what's happening now is people don't even have those 2 tiers on their horizon. I'm not thinking about kids. I've a good question to see where people are at with life. Sometimes you go, what's the most important thing to you right now? I just asked someone this recently. They're like, me. What's the most important thing to you? Me being happy. What's the most important thing for you being happy? They're kind of me doing what I want to do. Now, some people that are into empowerment and stuff like that, cool. Probably not a good person to be in a relationship with. I'm not saying that person needs to say their partner's number one, but they're obviously, everything's about them. And they believe happiness comes from doing best for them. But the reality is, any monk or any enlightenment podcast live stream will run this over and over again. Helping other people, serving other people is really where people are most happy. And where do you do that? In a family. That's the ultimate sacrifice, is to raise kids, right? So I think if you know that going in and you don't have those tiers set up for kids and marriage, you might get to a point where you're just like, the boat's stuttering and you're just like, what's next? We don't really, because you got to look towards something, right? I've had friends that got married and they're like, whoa, what did I just do? Because they're like, there's no next finish line. I've had friends that have been engaged and within 6 months, the girlfriend leaves them because she got what she's been wanting for so long. And she felt like afterwards, do I really want this tier? It's an interesting way to look at it, though. And like I said, there's more people than ever before. I know in my 20s, early 30s, wasn't on my agenda to get married or have kids. What do you recommend for a couple who is still dating but going through no contact to give each other space? Oh. Well, why are you going through no contact? Like, what's the reason for going through no contact? We have a question for a question. Why are you needing space? Would be my question. Saying that, I have recommended to people before that having a sabbatical or some time away from each other to appreciate and miss each other in the relationship is cool. I would say doing that at a good time in the relationship would be an interesting experiment. If you're doing the no contact to get each other space because there's a problem you're not facing or you're trying to put to the sidelines, or you're not being honest with each other, I'd say get that straight before you do the no contact to give each other space. Right? Because it you got to know what it is, what the reason of it is for. Kat, I'm going back to Cali soon. I'm probably staying for 6 months. Cool, man. Wow, what friends are made over here? You're going to go to San Diego? Smokey the Cat's in Diego, I believe. Yeah, I hate when people ask, why am I single? Or they don't believe I'm single. Still searching for the one. If you see, send him my way. No, we're not going to. I want someone to come on that wants to talk about if they have a problem. Petty Betty. If they got an issue. You mean when you think about it, you don't meet a lot of people in their early 20s that are like, I'm ready for marriage and kids. Right? So those were tiers that were developed. But now some couples can have a tier of making a certain amount of money or living in a certain neighborhood. Right? Saying all that, it can be crumbled by someone changing their identity, having a new job, someone meeting someone else, serendipitous by chance, and the list goes on. So you can still have those plans, you can have all the greatest intentions, and it still doesn't work out, and that's not necessarily your fault. It's very human. It happens. The amazing thing about doing this for so long is like some people really think that they're the only ones to have bad stuff happen in relationships. People don't believe I'm single. I kind of have a problem. What's your problem? It's interesting that Smokey the Cat, you say that you have a timetable. I didn't even ask, like, is it a specific timetable, like within 6 months or a year, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to move on? And have you ever sat down for a moment and just journaled out or really thought, like, what am I looking for? Most overlooked thing. What would be ideal? Not just, I'm not saying this about you, not just, oh, really good looking. Like, what would that be like? Another dietitian? Because I know that's what you do. Another, like, what would be ideal? It hasn't reached no contact, but yeah, I brought it up as an option. I would just say, Sam, that know why you're doing it, and if you're doing it because negotiations are off and you can't fix a problem, or meet halfway on the bridge that you both fix a problem. Whenever you have a problem in a relationship and it's like, oh, well, you do this, it's like, well, that's different than what I'm telling you do wrong. So it's tit for tat, tat for tit. What you want is that someone takes accountability for the problems that are their fault and they know it, or if they feel like, like, oh, for example, intimacy's not been great for the last few months. And this is something that couples have all the time, and they can't figure it out. Sometimes it's because there's not enough tension. The relationship's too monotonous and mediocre. So in that case, someone could blend. This happens too. Oh, you don't do anything. Oh, you don't try. You don't do this. That situation with intimacy, it's usually you got to meet halfway on the bridge. Someone doesn't have to make all the effort. So you have to figure out, all right, well, do you want to try this or should we do that? Or you both need to make an effort or have better communication. But the idea that it's one person's fault, not when it comes to intimacy, because if both of you aren't trying, both of you are being blocked or turned off by different things. That happens a lot these days. People settle in, especially guys that spend a lot of time online. They have a porn addiction. That's rampant. And then the woman has a Instagram or just being online all the time addiction, and just turns each other off. That's a couple that needs to meet halfway in the bridge and not blame each other. We are giving each other space to find out what we want for ourselves and deal with a lot of individual challenges, but are struggling to find the best way to give each other that space without hurting each other. Well, Sam, book a session. Email me. If it's not in the cards because it's expensive right now, then we can do payments. But maybe it's a good time to talk about, because you're saying you have what stands out to me there as I stutter. You have and deal with a lot of individual challenges. So I would say that actually your individual challenges are part of the problem in the relationship, because what you do is you run out of energy to be at your best or in a good place or even neutral when you're around your partner if your individual challenges are not going well, if they're going really bad or you're ignoring them. So if you can get out in front of those or have progress on those individual challenges, it supercharges and helps you have more energy. Like, think about it this way. Let's say you have a problem with your girlfriend or boyfriend, husband or wife. This is for everyone. And you're in a bad mood because your job has 2 hours of traffic when you come home. Or you're in a bad mood because your mom has a lot of issues with drugs or alcohol. And even though you don't live together anymore, you still care about your mom, and she calls you every day and she's toasted. Okay? So when you get home after that 2 hours of traffic and talking to mom on the phone, you don't have any energy to be kind or sweet or make dinner or hug on the couch, and the partner will take it personal. They'll be like, "Oh, you don't even care about me," or like, "What's your problem?" So you need to figure out, hey, do I need to find a job that's closer to home? Do I need to, you know what I'm saying? You need to, all right, how do I deal with my mom better? I've had a client like this years back. He had financial security. He didn't work a lot, right? His partner, they were in their 30s, worked her whole life, worked her ass off. She was an immigrant to America, and she didn't have that much money. And so he would be, at home, and then she'd be working her job, and then she'd come home. He's like, "Why is she always in a bad mood? I didn't do anything wrong." It's like, well, and people get resentment. It's like, you're on the couch all day and I worked all day. And I've seen this for men where they have money and they have a really chill lifestyle, and the woman works, and they feel like, I don't know why she's upset with me all the time. She's not going to tell you to get your ass off the couch, or it's a turnoff that you're so damn lazy. But she's not going to also be smitten and wanting to kiss and hug and hang out and do those things. She just doesn't have the energy. She's been working all day. And then, by the way, you don't feel what she feels. You're an opposite to her. Body count matters to me as to a woman. I don't know where that came from. Do you ask guys when you date them, like, what's your body count? I feel like, because I can say this, Petty Betty, you're 40 now, right? I think me and you are the same age, 42. When you get to like late 30s, early 40s, do people ask that? I feel like there's an age limit on that where you're just like, yeah, it's not relative. Would you ask someone that on their first, or like, if you're dating a guy in his mid to late 30s and early 40s, how many? Seems like a question that doesn't get asked at a certain age anymore. a good answer for that is you can't handle the truth. You really want the truth? All right, we've got a few minutes left. If anyone else wants to crawl into the chat, or you had a question about your individual relationship, maybe you've been sitting on the sidelines in this one. I've never asked someone that question. I would be appalled if someone asked me my body count. It's very common for people in their 20s. And I think when people are in their 20s, they're just more insecure. They're more worried about, and by the way, if you think about it, I was just talking to a client earlier today that's in his 20s, that let's say you're 24 and your girlfriend's 22, right? And she's attractive. She's going to get looked at more than some woman that's 40 that's attractive, maybe 2 or 3 times more, just because of the age. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but she's just going to get more looks. Maybe not even approaches, double takes. And you as the guy that's with her, if you're insecure about that, it's the same thing if you date a supermodel. Like there's certain women that are going to get more attention. Women overall get more looks, regardless of how they look. But yeah, the question kind of seems like, I don't know. I would be surprised someone would ask that when you're older. Certainly not. I guess 40 would maybe be the line, because 50s, 60s, who cares, right? I think if someone asked that in their 40s, 50s, they wouldn't be upset by it. That's funny that you said you're going to be appalled. First question kind of thing. And by the way, like I've had a client before that they were like, I keep getting pressed by my boyfriend about it, right? And she said, honestly, I have to think about it. He didn't like that answer. She's like, I got to think about it. I'm not sure. Now everyone in the chat's like, oh my God. It's like, people could be in a stage in their life where maybe that was what they did. Maybe they were drinking a lot. Maybe they were doing something. It's not a totality of who they are. And certainly if they're going to be honest with you when you ask that question, can you handle the truth? And do you feel like they're not that promiscuous anymore? They're changed. You can kind of feel it when you date someone and kind of get an idea of who they were before, probably. I mean, it's just Petty Betty says, so is that a good response? Body counts matter for me too. I mean, if you're dating a guy and it's something you want to know, it's important to you, then ask the question, have the discussion. Just know that you both are probably going to have to divulge it. And if that's something you want to do, fine. If that's good for you and that's something that's, I stopped counting after the second one. Great response, LOL. I got amnesia about 5 years ago, so I don't know how many after. The amazing thing about people with high body counts is probably 10% were really good. 20%. Maybe they don't say that, and they also, it's like eating at a good restaurant or, something like that. It's not that memorable if it was just one time. It's not that. It's not something you bring back and relive over and over again. Now, interesting enough, the series on Netflix, Black Mirrors, I don't know if it's an S or not. Someone from the live stream had told me, check out this episode where they have this eye camera and you record everything you do. Like your whole life's recorded. Because I had been talking about it. Like if you could see everything that you do, you'd probably be embarrassed by the way you act sometimes, myself included, which I'm recorded on a lot of stuff too. But so and this is a possibility in the future, probably. This doesn't seem far-fetched. I don't know if it's a good thing though. But you have this basically a camera lens on your eye. So let's say you go to a dinner party, Petty Betty, Sam Lujan, Jen. Let's say you got your boyfriends with you. Let's say there's a couple single women there. And, you know, there's a mixed bag of people. But you're there with your boyfriends. Wouldn't it be interesting to go back, watch the dinner table on video and see your boyfriend's response or looking at some woman across the room or what, and you catch something like, oh, I can tell right there that they actually have something going on. And then you're able to watch it again. Now let's take that a step further. If you could record all your sexual encounters, right? And this is what that episode was about. And then you can go back, and when you really did have good intimacy with an individual, you could watch it again and again. And so this is what that episode was about, that this guy knew that his wife was cheating, and he made her recall the video of her and the guy that she was cheating with. And then he kept playing it over and over again. But the crazy thing is, you could actually go back and basically see all the people you slept with and see the recording of how it went down and whatnot. Why am I saying this? Because you don't have access to that. So really, your memory, my memory is really good about names, events, but like bringing back random sex or someone you hooked up with for a couple months, you're not going to really, it's not that when my thing is like that body count, those individual encounters, those individual intimate encounters, they're really difficult to recall or relive. So they're just a memory. They don't really hold any weight. So when the other individual holds weight on it, they might be holding weight that you're dirty or you have a bad habit, right? Jen says, I'm out, Mac. Work comes early in the morning. Hopefully I'll catch another live. Outstanding. Good to hear from you, Jen, with 2 N's. I think that's good enough for me today too, Jen. It's been 1 hour. I've had on 2 long coaching calls today, so this will be good. Petty Betty, always a pleasure. Sam, look forward to hearing from you in an email. Maybe we could set up a session for you. And Smokey the Cat, always a pleasure. Petty Betty, the best. What would you call someone that does nails? I just gotta, the best. What's a person that does nails name? Salon attendant? Nails attendant in the world. Best nails attendant in the world. Do we have anyone else on here? That's it for the day. All right, folks, it's been good. It's been grand. And if you're looking for the best way to get over an ex, I'd say start with a social media fast. It's curtains.